Hello everyone, Joshua Myers here, and welcome back to my 31 Days of October review series. And today I'm going to be reviewing The Shining from 1980.
The Shining, a masterpiece of modern horror, directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, rated R, opens Friday, June 13. Check newspapers for local listings.
The Shining stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and it's directed by Stanley Kubrick. The plot of Stanley Kubrick's Shining is when writer Jack Torrance takes a job as a winter caretaker for a hotel high in the Rocky Mountains. He, his wife, and their psychic young son will be isolated until spring, but once the first blizzard closes the road out, the accumulating power of evil deeds committed at the hotel begins to drive Jack mad. Now there may be no escape for his wife and son. Before I get any further, this was actually my first time watching the Stanley Kubrick Shining, and it was damn good. I really liked it. I liked everything from the cinematography, the lighting, the overall pacing, and just the suspense with it. And I also really liked all the actors, especially Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance. He was really good in his role. Overall, I think everybody put on a phenomenal performance. Also, I did like the fact that Stanley Kubrick directed this film in a way that it leaves a lot of things, it leaves a lot of things in ambiguity. Like, you don't know what's going on, or even by the final scene in the movie, or it raises more questions than answers, which sometimes I'm against, but it works with this. It really does. Also, I did like the music. I just like also all the visual stuff with this movie. It's a visually interesting film. What did I not like about it? Honestly, for me, the one thing I don't like, and this is something that even Stephen King doesn't like, and I will admit he's probably onto something. For those who don't know, the inspiration for The Shining came from when Stephen King stayed at a hotel up here in Colorado by the name of the Stanley Hotel. It's also infamously known for being one of the most haunted locations in the United States. He didn't like the fact that Stanley Kubrick decided not to film at the Stanley Hotel because he was heartbroken by that, because the Stanley Hotel is where he stayed at the Stanley Hotel, and and during that he actually got the inspiration to write The Shining, and that's, I think, where he wrote The Shining. And I heard Stanley Kubrick's reasoning for that is because he felt like Colorado didn't have as much snow as he needed, and knowing that he felt like the location placing for the Stanley Hotel wasn't isolated enough. And I'm like, okay, first of all, as somebody who lives in Colorado and has been up in the mountains and that before, well, first of all, regards to snow in Colorado, we get tons of snow up here. We really do. Just, even if you're not close to the mountains, you get a lot of snow up here. But if you're close to mountains, in fact, when you go to the mountains, that's where the most snow occur. So I think it could have been as much snow as Stanley Kubrick wanted. And knowing that, I think the location of the Stanley Hotel, I think could have worked for him as far as the isolation goes. I think he could have directed it really well with that. So, I don't know what was really with Stanley Kubrick's thinking on that. I think he should have filmed at the Stanley Hotel. I agree with 100% on that with Stephen King. I think he could have made it work. Also, another thing I don't like is that even though I did like Jack Nicholson's performance in this, I think he did a really good job, I kind of agree with some of the complaints that he from the get-go, he seemed a bit loopy and everything. Just something didn't felt right about him. When in the book, which, granted, I have not read the book or listened to the audiobook, I've actually done research on this and heard what other people had to say. And in the book, Jack Torrance basically was somebody who just seemed like an average guy in that, and everything, loving husband, loving father. And then as, like, the more he stayed in a hotel, he starts to lose his mind and everything. And I get that complaint, and that's how I felt like it should have been. Which I think Jack Nicholson could pull that off. Also, I really don't like, even though I did like the music for this film, I will say there are some points with the music that I feel like was unnecessary in that, and only that was just so freaking loud. And honestly, it started to hurt my ears, and knowing that I couldn't really hear certain dialogue at times. I'm not sure if that's just me, but that's why, that's how I came across it. I think that, and knowing that, I felt like the music a lot of times was a bit too much. I think I would have scaled down the music back, made it more subtle, especially during certain moments. In fact, maybe at times I would have had it to where there was no music at all. And this is coming from somebody who is an actual filmmaker, and who've actually studied how to make films for years. In fact, I'm actually somebody who was self-taught. I've taught myself on how to make films for using, research online and everything, and just self-experience. So, and I've been doing films for, by now about 10 years. I've been making films for over 10 years. And honestly, I gotta say, I think there's some things Stanley Kubrick could have done without in this movie. I also think, again, for somebody who lives in Colorado, and especially knowing the winter and everything, I think the Stanley Hotel could have been an awesome. Like, I think the Stanley Hotel would have worked for what he was going for. But overall, this is a really good movie. I get some of those complaints in it. I also get the complaints that Stephen King has. But this is overall a good movie. And with that said, I'm going to give The Shining a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really love this movie. Again, I did have issues with it. Also, I get some of the criticism people have with this movie, especially Stephen King. I totally get it. I have some of those same criticisms myself. But there are a lot of stuff in this movie that does work. And I think this is another film that's timeless. I really do. I mean, this film came out in 1980. It's now 2019. I think it still holds up. And also I did this mainly because of the fact that, like, I watched this movie not just because I had to see it at some point, but because next month there's going to be a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining by the name of Dr. Sleep, which I have seen the trailer. They played it when me and Abe went to see It Chapter 2. And looks like it could be good. I hope it is. I'm probably going to go see it in the theater. Expect to see a review for Dr. Sleep. So that's it for my review. Thank you guys for watching. And here's Johnny!